Mothers Who Kill. God Made Me Do It. Between 2001 and 2004, 3 horrific cases shocked the nation, not just because mothers had killed their children, but because each believed they were commanded by God to do so. Andrea Yates, Deanna Laney Dena Schlosser. 3 women, 3 families destroyed, and one haunting question: what happens when faith and psychosis collide?
What were you trying to accomplish then when you did take your children's lives?
Maybe in their innocent years, God would take them up.
God would take them up to be in heaven, is that what you mean? All right. And if you had not taken their lives, what did you think would happen to them?
I guess they would have continued stumbling.
And where would they end up?
I hope.
Andrea Yates was once a nurse, a valedictorian, a loving wife. But on June 20th, 2001, in her modest home in Houston, Texas, she drowned all 5 of her children in a bathtub, one by one, then calmly called 911 and confessed.
Down. What's your name? What's the problem? I just need him to come. Is your husband there? No. What's the problem? I need him to come. I need to know why we're coming, ma'am. Is he there standing next to you? She? Are you having disturbance? Are you ill or what? Yes, I'm ill. You need an ambulance? No, I need a police officer. I've sent an ambulance.
Her children were Noah, 7, John, 5, Paul, 3, Luke, 2, and Mary, 6 months old. When her husband Russell returned home, he was met by police officers and a scene that defied understanding. Andrea had struggled with mental illness for years. After the birth of her 4th child, she experienced a full psychotic break, marked by hallucinations and delusions. She attempted suicide twice. One psychiatrist, Dr. Eileen Starbranch, warned that Andrea was a danger to her children, but her husband, citing their religious beliefs, resisted psychiatric hospitalization. Andrea believed her children were damned, that if they grew up, they would burn in hell. She believed that by killing them young, she could save their souls. This belief was reinforced by her spiritual influences, including preacher Michael Warren-Yecki, who warned of sin and female submission. Andrea was initially convicted of capital murder and sentenced to life in prison. But the conviction was overturned in 2005, after it was revealed that a forensic psychiatrist, Dr. Park Dietz, falsely testified she had been influenced by a non-existent episode of Law and Order. At retrial, she was found not guilty by reason of insanity and committed to a mental hospital. Andrea is eligible for annual competency reviews to determine if she can be released, but she has consistently waived these hearings, opting to remain in treatment. According to her defense attorney, George Parnham, she is doing well in the hospital and is involved in activities like making crafts, which she sells anonymously to benefit the Yates Children's Memorial Fund, an organization dedicated to women's mental health, particularly postpartum depression.
I just dropped down on his chest so that he couldn't breathe. I can't do it any longer, and I looked up, and there was a streak of light, and it came down. And that was like a sign to me that he was dead.
2 years after the Andrea Yates case in New Chapel Hill, Texas, another mother would commit a disturbingly similar act. On the night of May 9, 2003, at around 11:30 p.m., Deanna Laney awoke, claiming she heard the voice of God commanding her to take the lives of her 3 sons, Joshua, 8, Luke, 6, and Aaron, just 14 months old. She believed she had 3 options: stabbing, choking, or stoning, and decided that stoning would be the most humane way to follow God's command. She began with her youngest, Aaron. Entering his room, she used a large rock she had hidden under his crib to bludgeon his skull. But when he kept breathing, she reportedly said, "Lord, you're just going to have to do the rest. I can't do any more." She then placed a pillow over his face to muffle the gurgling sounds. Next, she took Joshua, her 8-year-old, into the yard. There, she raised a large rock over her head and brought it down on his skull, killing him. She then dragged her 6-year-old son, Luke, to the same spot and murdered him in the same brutal manner. Like Andrea Yates, Deanna was suffering from intense religious delusions. She believed God was testing her faith, just as he had tested Abraham in the Bible. She claimed she had a vision commanding her to kill her sons or face a far worse fate. While being questioned by her psychiatrist, Deanna stated she believed she and Andrea Yates had been chosen by God to witness the imminent end of the world. She even likened herself to the Virgin Mary after being visited by the angel of the Lord, saying she believed she would soon bear the Son of God. 5 expert witnesses testified that Laney was legally insane. The jury agreed. In April 2004, she was found not guilty by reason of insanity and was committed to Kerrville State Hospital. By 2012, Deanna Laney had been released from her court-mandated hospitalization, but under strict conditions. She must allow designated caseworkers to visit her home at any time, take all prescribed medications as directed, have no unsupervised contact with minors, submit to periodic blood tests to ensure medication compliance, not change her residence without court approval. As of today, her exact whereabouts remain confidential. Only a few people, including her attorney, know where she now lives.
I haven't made a decision. I mean, do you want her back on the street with your children? I guess that's a question you have to ask yourself.
In the fall of 2004, Dena Schlosser gave birth to her 3rd child, a daughter named Margaret. But the joy of new life was short-lived. Just one day after Margaret was born, Dena attempted to take her own life. She was hospitalized in a psychiatric facility and diagnosed with bipolar disorder with psychotic features, a serious mental illness involving delusions, mood swings, and hallucinations. Earlier that same year, Child Protective Services had opened an investigation into Dena's mental health after another psychotic episode, where she left her children alone. CPS took action, ordering that Dena could not be left alone with her children. To comply with the order, her sister-in-law moved into the home to supervise. Eventually, the restriction was lifted, and Dena was once again left to parent without oversight. As time passed, Dena's mental health continued to deteriorate. She became increasingly devoted to her family's charismatic church, the Water of Life Church, led by Pastor Doyle Davidson, a former veterinarian who preached spiritual warfare and divine healing. Dena began to believe that her infant daughter, Margaret, was destined to marry Davidson. The day before the attack, she told her husband she wanted to give Margaret to the pastor. That same evening, according to a CPS report, her husband spanked her with a wooden spoon in front of their children. The next morning, everything fell apart. On November 22, 2004, with a kitchen knife, Dena severed both of Margaret's arms. She then calmly picked up the phone and called 911. With a calm, dispassionate voice and the hymn, "He Touched Me," playing in the background, Dena Schlosser confessed to the unthinkable, telling a 911 operator she'd cut off the arms of her baby girl. The woman was sitting in her living room covered with blood when police arrived. Her nearly 11-month-old daughter lay fatally injured in a crib in a bedroom of the family's apartment. The child died shortly afterward at a nearby hospital. During her psychological evaluation, Dr. David Self testified about Dena's mental state. He said she had seen a disturbing news story about a boy who was mauled by a lion and believed it was a divine omen, a signal of the coming apocalypse. She claimed she heard God speaking to her. She told him God commanded her to remove Margaret's arms. Dr. Self diagnosed her with postpartum psychosis, which is a rare and severe mental health condition that can occur in the days or weeks following childbirth. Unlike the more common postpartum depression, which affects as many as 1 in 7 mothers and often involves persistent sadness, fatigue, and feelings of inadequacy, postpartum psychosis is far more acute and far more dangerous. It affects about 1 to 2 out of every 1,000 new mothers, and its onset is typically sudden. Women experiencing postpartum psychosis may have hallucinations, seeing or hearing things that aren't there, delusions, strong false beliefs that don't align with reality, severe confusion, paranoia, or disorganized thinking. In some cases, these symptoms can lead a mother to believe her baby is in danger, or that harming herself or her child is necessary or justified. It's important to understand, this is not a moral failing. This is not a case of bad parenting. Postpartum psychosis is a psychiatric emergency. a serious but treatable illness that requires immediate medical attention. With the right care, including psychiatric medication, hospitalization, and long-term therapy, most women can recover and go on to parent safely and lovingly. In this case, Dena had been taking antipsychotic medication for years, but her pastor, Doyle Davidson, believed all mental illness was demonic in nature, and that it could be cured through prayer. Under oath, Davidson testified that, in his view, all mental illness is demonic at bottom. That belief reportedly influenced Dena's husband, who refused to buy her medication consistently. Following the trial, Davidson's television ministry was canceled in nearly every market outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area, after widespread public backlash. Dena Schlosser was charged with capital murder, but in 2006, she was found not guilty by reason of insanity. She was committed to the North Texas State Hospital, where she was to remain until doctors determined she no longer posed a danger to herself or others. While institutionalized, she was temporarily housed with Andrea Yates. After the attack, Dena's children were taken into CPS custody. Her husband was only allowed to regain custody under strict conditions. His sister was required to live in the home, and he had to complete psychotherapy and parenting classes. Eventually, he regained full custody. He later filed for divorce, and as part of the settlement, Dena was permanently barred from contacting him or their children. In November 2008, it was announced that Dena Schlosser would be released into outpatient care. She was required to see a psychiatrist weekly, remain on medication, be on physician-approved birth control, and have no unsupervised contact with children. But in April 2010, she was recommitted after firefighters in Richardson found her wandering the streets at 2 a.m. She was again released into outpatient care, but stayed out of the spotlight until 2012. That year, a local Dallas news station reported that Dena, now using her maiden name, Dena Leitner, was working at a Walmart in Terrell, Texas. After the report aired, she was fired within hours. As of December of 2020, Dena Schlosser remains committed to a mental hospital. The tragedies we've explored serve as painful reminders of the critical importance of mental health. No parent should face these struggles alone. Investing in accessible mental health care, postpartum support, and early intervention resources isn't just about prevention, it's about compassion. It's about building a world where every mother feels seen, supported, and safe enough to ask for help. Because when we care for mothers, we protect families and ultimately save lives.